welcome to a very special Kasa. I am Sammdandy, and I'm truly honored to sit here, or should I say stand, to celebrate my gender and our contribution to our societies and the world as a whole. Now, the 19th of November is a day where, around the world, we mark International Men's Day. Now, as we get started, I have a special request on this special day. Please pick out your phones and send something nice, maybe some words of encouragement or appreciation to some of the men in your life. In a bit, I'll be introducing my panel of outstanding men, and together we'll be discussing the importance of male role models, men's well-being, as well as share our expectations and experiences for the future. Once again, welcome to Kasa. Let's talk. Now, thank you for staying with us. Now, don't forget at any point during the show, please feel free to join the conversation online. You can tweet at us, sharing a celebratory message for a man in your life, because I'll be picking some lucky people to get free airtime. Now, of course, I would like that you use the hashtag Kasa Men's Day Special. Now, let's get into the conversation. On my panel today, I have Nigerian actor and radio host, Mayowa. Mayowa, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good to have you. I think we're tweeting on the hair a little bit.
I know, right?
You look good. And of course, he's not the only one on my guest list. A Nigerian comedian, popular comedian, I must say, an actor himself forever. How are you doing, my man?
Very good.
This color is looking fantastic on you.
Yeah, I just had to, what can I wear to make an impression? So
I like it.
Orange. I've already said orange.
Men wear orange, and you wear it well.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to be joined by another special guest super soon, but I will not let the cat out the bag, all right? Of course, just keep it locked right here on News Central Television. And first off, how do you feel? International Men's Day. What are your thoughts? First things first.
I mean, I should be excited, but I can't say I am because I think I've received just 3 messages. Yeah.
Who do you know? Let's give shouts out
aside the BCs.
Okay.
The ones that are very intentional. Like, hey, Mayowa. Yeah, just 3.
You wanna let us know who those people are? No? Okay.
It's
3 messages.
Yeah.
Just 3. How many have you gotten?
1.
Oh, wow.
Who is that special?
My wife.
I know.
No other person.
Wow.
So that's why I was shocked when I said 3. They said, wow, you're loved.
Now, of course, while it's a day to celebrate our fathers, ourselves, and the next generation of men, we would be delusional if we didn't point out statistics and highlight some solutions to problems men continue to face in society, some that we may have caused ourselves. Now, let's look at the statistics on the screen for a little bit. All right. Now, it says, first, men have a suicide rate 3 times higher than women. Now, that is, of course, interesting. Number 2, 1 in 3 men have been the victims of domestic violence. There's more. Men on average die 4 to 5 years before women. Number 4, men are nearly twice as likely to suffer from lung cancer than women. Number 5, men are nearly twice as likely to suffer from heart disease than women. I'm a little afraid, but what does this tell you? Did you know any of these facts before? Since they're statistics, they're proven. What are your thoughts, Mayowa?
I think I had an idea about the suicide one and the death rates for men. I didn't know domestic violence was this bad. I also did not know about the lung cancer and the heart disease. So this is a revelation for me.
Forever. You can probably live forever, so no disease here will affect you. But what are your thoughts?
That doesn't mean I don't have to be careful.
You better.
So, but basically, I think number 3, the death rate, not because I knew of it, but because I didn't know that there was a word called widower for a long time, because we used to widows. What's up? Her husband has died. She's a widow, but rarely we say this man is a widower, because women rarely really die before men. So it's number 3 is not a revelation, but the rest are new. Most especially number 2.
Right. Everyone's just surprised about domestic violence.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, here's one thing for sure. There are several challenges that men continue to face and have faced. And while, of course, we've seen women in this time and age, advocate and talk about, their problems and getting people to jump on the bandwagon, maybe men are lacking in this area. Now, of course, it's common to say that men don't talk about their problems. Let's start there. And maybe that's why the victims of domestic violence, no one will tell you.
No, because it's scary, because we're 3 men, but I know my wife has not beaten me. So is it that...
I'm not married.
Not yet.
No, but you might be in a relationship with someone. So we are 3 men here, and it's one in 3 men.
So I think he's the one man. because I haven't been.
I have not been, and
You see, men don't talk.
but of course, here's the thing, right? But those challenges often find space when it comes to public discourse. Now, these problems men are not talking about it enough. Like I said, women have done well in starting conversations about what affects them and advocating for change, and we need to do the same for ourselves. Now, let's hear from some of the pressures, of course, the men continue to face up until this date, right? I have a thought. We're going to watch this, and let's take a look at what some of these men have faced, as well as the challenges to add to this table. Let's watch this.
All right.
The biggest challenge of being a man is being a man. It comes from different dimensions and different aspects. Satisfying yourself, who you want to be, and meeting up with the responsibilities of, people that depend on you. All of that come together to create that pressure, of being a man.
I think my biggest challenge in life as a man is the expectation from men. We were trained to believe that men shouldn't cry. Of course, now we know differently, for some of us. The challenges surrounding being a man. You must put your home together, you must ensure that everything is in perfect place, even before you yourself are in perfect place. Now we get more attention on men's mental health. There used to be a time when that probably wasn't even a thing. You have to hold everything together, even when you yourself are falling apart.
The biggest challenge as a man so far would be finding myself. Because everyone seems to say, okay, yes, you keep redefining yourself, you keep finding yourself, but finding yourself paves the way for how you do things. It paves the way for the next steps or actions you take. If you do not find yourself in the right path or in a path that suits your soul, you make wrong decisions that end up bothering your mental state, your emotional state. You become depressive, you become aggressive, all because you're just trying to find yourself. And if you're lucky to find yourself, it now takes a whole lot maintaining it and building on it. So that alone sums up like your entire existence as a man.
Now, we just watched a couple of men talk from different ages, of course, talk about some of the challenges that men have faced or they have faced personally and continue to face. Now, what are your thoughts about that? From the pressure, to finding yourself. Any challenges that they probably did not highlight that came to mind while you were watching that?
I think the first person already sums up everything, which is like the fact that you're a man is a pressure on its own. People just make it look like once you're born a man, there's a lot of expectations, right? Supposed to, especially being a provider. I'm sure Forever can relate.
Yeah, because the way he arranged the words.
Yeah.
He said the greatest challenge of being a man is being a man. See,
deep.
you don't know how deep that statement is.
Deep.
Just being a man. Now, that statement has a lot of meaning from different people. People would interpret it differently. Being a man is that you have to provide for your family. For some people, being a man is that beyond your family, you should be able to cater for your extended family. For some people, so that statement in itself, it's simple to hear, but very difficult to understand.
Right.
And that is just the pressure, because we're trained to be robots. That this is who a man should be. So there is a prototype. There's already a pathway. You must walk in this path to maintain your existence as a man. If you step out, you're already making a mistake. Whereas that stepping out could actually be your freedom.
Right.
But no.
And just like the last person said, when he talked about identifying yourself, something about identity, basically, it's just how, as a man, I feel like it's easy for maybe older parents, older generation to forgive a woman for not finding yourself on time. Does that make sense? But as a guy, people are like, what are you doing? You're 30 and you still don't know what you want to do with your life. Do you get? People just assume that, for a woman, she'll figure it out, give her some time. But for a man, even at 20, 21, 22, people expect that you shouldn't even live with your parents anymore.
20 is even far. One of my classmates in secondary school, I'm not going to mention his name. When he gained admission into university, his father told him, as you're leaving this house, you're not coming back.
Wow.
That's what the father told him.
Wow.
As you step into University of Port Harcourt, you are not coming back. You are a man already. You've graduated. You didn't graduate for secondary. You graduated from this home.
Into manhood.
Into manhood. So just go. And that was how the guy became a man.
Now, here's the thing, right? Why we talk about this, it's super important that men know that these conversations can be had.
Yeah.
You know, psychology will tell you that talking about your problems, will help them ease you off those problems, right? We're going to go, of course, in that route. Of course, our final guest will be joining us very soon. Keep it locked right here, of course, on Kasa. We'll be back and introduce our final guest. And then we can properly talk about it, especially from the angle of men talking, being open about this, all right? Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back after this. Once again, thank you for staying with us. It's still Kasa, and it's our Men's Day special. Now, like I promised you, we're going to have another guest because a lot of men want to talk about this. And why would I say no when Dr. Abiola Salami wants to be part of the conversation? Good to have you join us.
Thank you for having me. Happy International Men's Day, guys. Happy International
I had
Men's
to
Day.
take a bow to that when I sit down. All right, now, so we talked a little about statistics, right? There were some very scary statistics. But before we go back into that, let me just point out that at this point, we've highlighted the fact that it's important that men talk. Men open up, and these conversations are super important. Now, I want to know, are we telling that enough to younger people? Are we telling men that they can express themselves, they can be open, they can be vulnerable? Or are we still a little shy about a man crying in public? It's easy to say it now, but when was the last time you cried openly to anyone? Mayowa, you want to start?
I did cry on my birthday.
Okay.
And it wasn't open per se. It was just a group of close friends, and it was just an emotional moment.
Right.
But to answer your question, I feel like we're not doing enough still to let people know that, look, it's okay to talk about the problems you're facing.
Right.
Maybe because we're scared of the fact that a problem shared now is a problem trending on Twitter, right? So you don't want to be...
Trend. You don't want to be hashtag.
Exactly. So most times we just want to keep these things to ourselves, and maybe we also blame our parents for teaching us that, look, it's not everything you tell your wife, it's not every problem you're facing that you come and tell people. Sometimes you should be able to hold these things to yourself, and it makes you stronger. That's what we'll be.
Before I ask Dr. Salami, I want to first remind you guys that, of course, if you want to drop a celebratory message to any important man in your life, maybe to the gorgeous men here, please do so, of course, and use the hashtag PopCasa International Men's Day Special, all right? So let me go to you now.
Yes.
I mean, it's a normal thing now. We've told boys, oh, suck it up a lot of times. Oh, don't cry. Oh, don't do that. Oh, don't act like a girl. What are your thoughts about that, really?
Even when the pressure is getting worse, it is expected that we should just man up. Unfortunately, we grew up that way. The society expects us to just man up. Without forgetting that all of us were human beings. Right? We're all human beings. So it's important that we continue to encourage men to speak up. And in that speaking up, it's also important that we properly orient men to say this speaking up is to trustworthy people. Because your speaking up can become content, right? For someone to trend soon. Or it may be something somebody will keep in 2022 and bring up in 20 whatever when you're running for office. So it is important that yes, men speak up, but also to trustworthy sources. Now, unfortunately, our socialization is that for even before the lady starts to cry, everybody is sorry for her, right? If the guy is crying, they're wondering what's wrong with you.
Wow.
And the issue is not just about crying or not crying. The issue is that we should create space for people to express themselves emotionally. The rate of suicide keeps increasing, and when you check really statistics, more men commit suicide, than women. Then also we complain about violence, domestic violence, and we're not really truly interested in knowing what caused that domestic violence. We just want to blame the guy, without necessarily looking at the root cause of that.
Yeah.
So we create safe space for men to open up to express themselves without being judged.
Yeah.
Wow, nicely said. I got to ask you one question, Forever. When was the last time that you cried?
March 27 last year. A friend of mine died, so that was... As in, I cried to the point my daughter woke up and asked my wife, what was happening to that?
Yeah, because she hasn't seen daddy cry before.
She has never seen me cry, so it was that bad. But like what Dr. Salami mentioned, I think we need to have somebody watching can just have like this idea, just build a crying hub. Men's crying hub. Any man you see them went to cry. When you are overwhelmed, just go down and cry. Because it's very important, because it's crying is is like detox.
Yeah, let it out.
Yeah.
When you cry, you become relieved. But a lot of men, so most of these guys who've committed suicide, if life could go back and they had a chance to cry maybe once or twice, they would never have done that.
Fair.
Because in the moment of crying, it gives you the chance to even think, I could have done, don't worry, you overcome it. When you're done crying, you realize that you have one sudden strength. I'll get it right. So a lot of men need to let it out. Sometimes just cry the cry. That tears in your eyes, some men are not crying, it now causes overflowing of the heart because they're crying inside, they are not crying outside. So just cry.
I have to confess, that's a very good point. I'm sure someone out there will now start a business venture or perhaps maybe a non-government organization that helps men to come together and cry. Not a bad idea. But let's be honest, society continues to put pressure on men to be men. Now you're expected to be the head of the home, provide at all costs. For some young ones, that means that they do everything they can to spoil their girlfriends and partners. But this pressure tells on men, now go out and hustle, by all means, they say. Have you guys ever felt that pressure? Girlfriends now, because...
Yeah, I mean, maybe not from a personal experience, but as a young guy in Lagos, it's already difficult for you to get by. Look at it, averagely, a 25 to 30-year-old guy maybe earns 150 to 200K, maybe 300K.
The average what?
Okay.
Are you talking about
the privileged
Okay, so I'm even saying those are the ones who are even doing well.
That's doing well.
So, doing well, 150, 200K.
Yeah.
Now you have a girlfriend and you want to take her out. You expect that you buy her a dress, that's like 25K. You go to a nice restaurant in VI or in Lekki, that's like 30, 40K. That's how much? That's like 60K.
65K.
One date. Now, probably she doesn't even drive. You have to pay her Uber to and fro. Maybe she stays somewhere on the mainland. That's like 5K to 5K fro. That's 10K.
Half of a salary that you work for 31 days.
What do we do? Has society encouraged this behavior? Especially because, I mean, you love your girlfriend, but some girls will not even give you the chance if you don't have money to spend.
So
what do you think?
So I think that men have to be smart about it. I went through school without having a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Was that intentional?
It was intentional. I told my friends, they say, forever you don't have a girlfriend, you are a comedian. Just like I say, yes. They say, why? I say, relationship is expensive.
True.
I say, because if I have a girlfriend, and for some reasons, she will just start seeing me as our Lord and personal Savior. I have to provide everything. A fellow student like me that both parents sent to school, that they gave pocket money. But for me to feel like I'm a man, I have to now save my pocket money for her. This girl will save her own pocket money, and when she's done with school, invest. Me, I'll squander my own. I said, so you see this school, and I know it's love, but I also believed that only 1% of campus relationships turn to marriage. So I'm not going to waste my time in a relationship that at the end I lost financially. So that's why it's very important that when you are going into a relationship, the person must understand where you are. That's why the last video was the last guy said,
find yourself.
Finding yourself. So when you know that I can't climb 4 stairs, you stay on 2 stairs. It's as simple as that. So the pressure is that you have to be a man, but every pressure that you go through, you actually allowed yourself to be in that space. That is what I personally believe. So nobody can put extra pressure on me. It's the one that I accept to be on me. So if I'm dating somebody who I worked 31 days to earn 150, and one day, it's not even up to a day, 4 hours.
Maybe they point me.
No, I'm using your I'm using your figures. Then me and you will go out for one day, and half of
it's gone.
My
salary is gone.
You are not for my
15 days worth.
Exactly. For 4 hours.
I have to ask, Dr. Salami, the fact that people say men will provide as necessary, like at all means, any means possible.
Yeah.
That alone sounds like a negative statement on its own, because it could be some negativity will come into place just to provide. You see movies of the father who goes out of his way, like do outrageous things just to provide for the home. I mean, the intentions are right, but the means completely wrong. What are your thoughts about this?
So it is good that men provide. It's also good that men have realistic expectations of themselves. You see, the society can demand whatever from me rather. There's some statement that it's a colloquial statement, but I will say it in English. And those who understand the local language can translate it. That the money that is not available, that there is no situation that can collect it. The money that's not available, no situation can collect it. So as men, while the pressure is getting worse from outside, You don't put yourself equally under pressure. Now, what if you do, you go do.
You know what I was going to say? I was going to point out the fact that while they might not be available, some people now go out of their way to have things that they don't even own. I mean, you go borrow money on top, say you want, which is even worse.
And then all this local credits, phone, mini, then they are now chasing you up and down. And then if they now ask you, before they will send the SMS to all your family members, they will now ask you that, guy, this money, what do you use and do? And I say, actually, I have a girlfriend.
And when the man starts to say, actually.
So like Forever said, it's important that we are smart about our expenses. It is important that we have realistic expectations. It is important that even when the society is driving us and making demands of us, that we know how to manage that, or else say you will die. And when you die, the world continues. Max. They will say 60 seconds. And then you have gone.
Nobody waits for 60 seconds.
They don't. Now, check it. Now, if you are in any of the dials, just check it. You would have opened your eyes after 10 seconds.
All right.
Then the world moves on.
Let's talk about this now. How much of this pressure do we actually think is self-inflicted? Is it men that continue to hold ourselves to this standard? Oh, you're a man. You're a king, you're the head, or is it society that is causing all this? Now I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking, let's not lie, some things that as a man, you're thinking your ego is on the line.
Yeah.
If you like this fine babe, love sometimes will chase you anywhere. And you get there and she wants to afford to pay, and you're thinking less of a man. A wife who wants to pay bills because you are struggling, less of a man. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or God help you, our parents want to fund the wedding. And you're thinking, hey, they are going, I don't have say in that family anymore. So are these self-inflicted, or are we just saying that these things can't change, or can they actually change? Let's start with you, Forever.
They can actually change, and it works both ways. It's society that put it there, and men accepted it. So I'm going to give clear examples. When I was in school, there was this friend I had, and she was my very close friend. I wanted to take her out. So I told her, I said, come, this place we are going to, my budget is 800. You will eat, I will eat.
I like that.
Inside the 800.
Inside the 800.
What year was that, by the way?
This was 2008.
Okay.
So I told her, I said, no, campus food now. It's campus food. So I told her, I said, whatever you order, you cannot exceed 400. If you exceed 400, you will pay the balance. Now, that is me not allowing pressure to, no, whatever she wants, I will give it to her. Then at another time I was working on radio, and the guy was like, it's not good for a woman to be wetter than a man. I said, why? And he quoted the Bible scripture that says, a man that cannot provide for his family is worse than an infidel. And I asked him a question. I said, if you have 1 billion, will you be able to provide for your family? He said yes. And I asked him, with your 1 billion, will you be able to marry a woman that has 10 billion? He said, it's not good for a woman to be wetter than her husband. I did not know that thing had something in me. Because when you have a lot, you don't know. So during the lockdown, I lost all my money in different investments. And then I could not really provide. And then my wife was taking up every bill. Do you know that at a point I was angry that I could not provide, instead of me to be grateful that I have a wife who could provide. But then, you know what my wife told me? She said, you are proud. She told me to my face.
Wow.
You are a very proud man.
I actually think it's pride.
And I said, I'm not proud. It's just that society had formed me to a certain extent where I have to be the one that provides that. Men don't even know how to receive gifts. Ladies, just try. The moment the lady starts telling him, oh, you look good, before she's done, the man will say, thank you. He cannot wait to receive everything. Because we are not trained to receive. We are always give.
Right.
My wife was providing, the house was running well, but I was angry I was not the one providing. When she told me that, bro, even for your wife that calls you my love to call you bro, you are proud. I sat there and then I realized that it was actually a form of pride, because in my mind, my ego was hurt that I could not provide. No, she's my partner.
Helpmate.
My helpmate. Yes. So you see, society gave it to us as an idea, but it has gone so. I didn't know that I was like that until that circumstance presented itself. So society has given it to us, but it's now a part of life. It's like the air we breathe as men.
I mean, truthfully, what you said makes perfect sense. Sometimes you never know until you get to that particular place, and you're like, so this is who I am. And it unfolds. But the problem is, what do we do when we get to that place? Okay. Have you ever felt this for anywhere where your ego as a man was any of those experiences?
Great question, which is why as men, we should embrace emotional intelligence. Today, the way we celebrated men in our company today is by putting something together. We call it the magic of emotional intelligence for men. By the way, the magic of emotional intelligence is my book.
Fantastic.
So for men, that it's important for men to embrace emotional intelligence. We are all a product of nature and nurture. Nature, physically. Nurture is how we have been groomed. What Forever is saying is part of nurturing. That you have been told over and over again, you are the king, you are the provider, you should do this, you should do that. And as he mentioned, we embraced it fully. Someone gave a quote many years ago. His name is A.W. Toffler. He said that the illiterates of the 21st century would be about people that can neither read nor write. Well, listen, no. But people that cannot learn, which is acquire new information.
That's right.
Relearn, which is the thing you know before, you have to revise it. But the most important one, unlearn, which is things that you have learned over time, and by learning, not just in the classroom, because we are always learning. Anytime you have any media in front of you, whether the media is a lecturer, the media is a phone, the media is social media, we are learning. So the other one is unlearn, which is the things you are putting in your mind that will not be useful for you again, that you take it out. So as men, mastering emotional intelligence means unlearning some of the things that is part of our nurturing. So ego, our ego normally will play out. It is not because you are naturally egoistic. It is because the information that has entered you since as a child till now, as a small boy and your sister, whether the sister is your older sister or your younger sister, it didn't matter.
You must protect
there's a way, there's a way your parents will just push you at one side, say you are sorted, and then focus on the girl. So gradually you are building something on the inside of you. There's also cultural intelligence. Some elements of our culture, that maybe make some men feel superior, to women. And then because of that feeling of superiority, then you have a need, then your ego kicks in, then you cannot be open to. He's saying that telling a man that you look good, he may not be able to receive it. That's right. Right? He may not be able to receive praise. He may not be able to receive even criticism, right? Of which I believe that feedback is the breakfast of champions. Every one of us to be better than who we are today. We are open to receiving feedback.
Someone better tweet that, okay? Someone better tweet that. You know what? When you talked about nurture, the first thing that came to my mind was such important background. And a lot of backgrounds for us as men is our fathers. Yes. All right, we're going to talk about that, of course, and the importance that our fathers play in our lives, or father figures in general. But we're going to go on a quick break first. Of course, it's International Men's Day, right here on Pop Kasa. Welcome back. Now, it's not up for debate that every child, in this case, particularly boys, need positive male role models, especially a father figure. Now, young boys and men need someone to look up to admire, and to aspire to be like. While some may have missed out on that vital bond, there are a few that can prove that it's had positively inspired them. Before we talk, of course, about the father figure, Nigerian singer Omale talked about losing his father 13 years ago and why it was important to dedicate music to him. Let's watch this.
My name is Stanley Omadidia. and all by myself, I got to where I am today. It's been like 13 years now since my father passed.
When I thank God, I got the lead. Say God no, ungodly.
Now, I must confess, I'm a huge Omale fan, but I never thought that the album was dedicated, of course, to those emotions. Now, while the absence of a father figure could dampen any child's upbringing, several men have taken the mantle to still conquer and take the hand that they've been dealt to become successful. Now, what kind of relationship do you have with your father, or did you have with your father, if they're, let's start with you.
Yeah, my dad is still very much alive.
Okay.
I had the kind of relationship, so initially it was that kind of relationship where, when you hear his horn outside, everybody runs inside. That's what it started with. But I think that was just the formative stage. As I became older, he became more open and he was open to having conversations. Even if I still feel like we've lost that part already, because now I'm already formed in my ways, right? So you don't expect me as a grown man now, something I didn't learn when I was younger. So now sit down and start having conversations with you. Nah, so it didn't work, right? But now, I think now I'm able to have conversation. Something just came to mind. So on my WhatsApp DP, I have my new look on. So I just saw my dad's message this morning. Why do you have your hair made like a woman? This, that, and that.
Wow.
And I just replied him, LOL. And that was it, right? But I think this is not something I could have done back. Do you understand what I mean? So now I've grown to be able to handle certain conversations with him, even if we didn't start off that way. The point I'm making is I've played my own part, right? To grow up, to be able to withstand whatever pressure that comes from him, basically. Yeah.
But that's not, first off, I didn't know we had so much in common, plus the hair and then our fathers running inside. But forever, you are a father yourself. So let's look back, your relationship with your dad and now you and your kids. Some similarities, some differences?
No similarity.
Why? Tell us about it.
Yeah, because basically, I didn't grow up with my father. So this year, July, made it 27 years of, I call it separation anniversary between my dad and my mom. So, but at the point I was feeling bad, and then I realized that everything makes up who you are in life eventually. Yeah, so I cannot say I have a relationship. Fine, we'll talk. Of course, when it's time to send money. So we talk, but it's not as like we're friends. The way my son is known. When I see him, we talk. I visit him, we talk. I call him, I check up on him. But as a father and a son, there was nobody. So my mom was basically the one who did everything. And so when I was growing, I would see guys struggling with their father. I was like, where my father? And all of us are living in this town. Which hustle? We went to marry another woman. I said, wait, so this man just gave birth to me and dropped me as if I'm a daycare with my mother. And then somebody asked me one day, what did you learn from your father? I said, the kind of man not to be. So there is no way that you will go through life and not learn something. So I knew the kind of man not to be. And that is not to spite him, but whether you like it or not, in a way, that has made me a better person.
That's right.
So my relationship with my son now is something I learned from my mom. One day, 2009, my mom just woke up. Oh yeah, everybody, she drew timetable. Forever, that's my reading. That's why I changed it forever.
Oh, nice.
You are the one cooking today. My sister will cook tomorrow.
Okay.
The last one, he said, anyhow you cook the food, we eat it.
Wow.
The first beans I cooked. Oh, when I say disappointment at your stepping stones, it was that beans that was, if you see stone.
Oh, wow.
The stone was softer than the beans. I don't know why I did. But wait it my mother said the reason she did that was to know that cooking is nobody's responsibility. It's everybody's responsibility. And today, I tell my son that, guy, you are a member of this house. You are not the son of the house. So he knows that, because Dr. Salami mentioned that some men are trained to feel superior than women. I wanted to put my daughter in the school, and I got there. Again, wanted to play football. One of the teachers said, no, you are a girl. I said, we cannot come to this school. What if that girl wants to play football?
Right.
So what my relationship with my father has actually formed the kind of man I am with my own son.
I want to go to you, but you said something super important while you talked about the absence of his father. You said he was trying to hustle. Now, I want to ask you, Dr. Salami, absent fathers. Some of them really are trying to work, trying to provide, and they just cannot be emotionally available. or be in the same space. Is that an excuse enough, or should we still give them kudos for at least working to provide?
So you've asked me that question because I have an experience in that.
I would have guessed.
And by the way, I lost my dad 21 years ago now, 2001. God rest his soul. So in today's world, it's someone that may be described as an absentee father. And because at some point in time, I was working in another part of of the country,
right?
So we were down south. He was working on core north, and so he doesn't have the opportunity to come, or maybe he was doing once a month or so. But great guy that he was. He did his best, to make sure that he's around. By the way, those days, no phones, no email, no anything. So just letters back and forth, and then he shows up. And of course, anytime he shows up, there's a banquet. And we maximize.
That's what you do.
And we maximize the moment.
That's right.
In my experience, what I did, because to a large extent, I don't support finger pointing. I always look at what can be done.
That's right. Yeah.
So as a son, I'm the firstborn. I'm sorry for myself. Anyway, if you're a firstborn watching this, you can really
conversation.
And that's another conversation. I hope there will be one day that will be.
I'm a firstborn too.
Firstborns International Day. We can talk about that.
Firstborn men day.
Because we are co-parents. So. So for me, I saw through his heart, what he wanted what he would have loved to do. It was a great example to me in many ways. I mean, this is someone, that started working with his SSC, and then while working, he did his first degree, he did the second degree. Part of why we were not seeing him, as often as we should. So he made sure that the school was where he was working, so that it's easy for him to do all of that. Now, as a boy, I understood that, right? While there are other people talking around, and I always wonder, what's wrong with you guys? Can't you see that this is who this guy was? Can't you see the things he's doing? So what I did was to make sure that we had a great relationship, just as if I knew that he would pass after a few years. I mean, I didn't know. So I remember going to meet my mom one day to tell her that, tell your boyfriend that he needs to be close to me. And then for me, I will always go to him. Even questions that I have the answers to already, I will go and ask him. What I wanted to achieve is that conversation.
Yeah.
And we built a solid relationship such that even when he was now transferred down south, from time to time, even the day he died, we were planning for the family. I mean, I brought an idea, he sat down, we looked at it together, he said we should wait for my mom to come. So the three of us, three arms of government, so that the three of us would deliberate, and decide on way forward, and a few hours later on, he passed. So some people will call absentee fathers. It is truly because the work that they do takes that attention. What can we do to make things easier for them? We live in a world where we like to finger point.
Yeah.
We point finger and we name people and we label people. But beyond the labeling, what can we do, to ensure that even these men, we help them, to have a great relationship even with their family.
It's super important, of course, we're talking about fathers. Some people never did have that relationship, and they have found role models. We're going to look at some people, and let's hear who their influences are and those people who have, of course, helped them along the path. Let's watch this.
Role models from different areas of life, so it will be quite risky to start mentioning them, because in mentioning one, I may forget the other, but I must admit that I'm a product of people. I didn't make myself, I'm not self-made. I'm made by people, so many people.
One of my biggest influences or influencers in life is my mom. And she's impacted my life in so many ways, particularly because she was widowed when I was 9 years old, and she had 4 children to take care of. It was quite a tough task, but eventually looking back, I think she did an amazing job. So it not pressure, but it put some kind of thought in my head that if she could do it, I could also do that. I should strive to do better, as a matter of fact. So yeah, it's a kind of personal challenge I'm giving myself. So I think I would say she's one of my hugest influencers in life, so to speak.
Okay, Jay-Z grew up in Brooklyn, he's a rapper. Literally started at 26 when he could drop bars directly from his head without having to write it down. It took him practice and years and everything, but seeing his growth from that point to where he is now, having to go through the ups and downs, and how much is even contributing to the larger society, which is the American society, shows that definitely you can start from anywhere. All you just have to do is start from where your heart is, start from where your soul speaks. And he did that. He started from where his soul spoke, which was music. Same with J. Cole. J. Cole is, to me, one of the most humanitarian person I've met. His heart is full of gold. His community, his team, the way he leads them, the way he guides them, it just speaks of so much grace, humility, and poise. I mean, you could be anything in the world. You could be Hitler, you could be Idi Amin, but you chose to be J. Cole, or he chose to be J. Cole. Then Childish Gambino is weird. Childish Gambino is weird, and that weird makes him stand out because he chooses not to say things the way we do. He would rather influence society and the decisions rather than be influenced by society and its decisions. And so far, it's working for him. So they influence me more because in terms of finding myself, these are people that help me channel my energy in terms of where my heart is. It's the interest I have in life and my character / reputation, because how you carry yourself tells a lot about your person. And so far, they have carried themselves in ways that brings grace to themselves, so much respect from people, and so much love from people, and so much love from them to also give people. And those are what inspires me. Those are people that inspire me in life.
Now you're still watching Popcast, a special, of course, in celebration of International Men's Day. My guests, of course, have been an absolute delight. But we just watched that about influences, and I just, really quick, right?
Yeah.
Of course, some of your influences, and I don't want to point out people who have been, wrongly inspired, because we see a lot of people, young people these days, pointing at the wrong people, saying, because of the money and because of certain things. Yeah. But who are some of your influences?
So for me, my major influences would be some of my religious leaders over the years. I wouldn't want to mention it, but really. And I also just want to highlight that for every man or potential father watching this, this whole influence thing is something we should actually think about because, like they say, there's no vacuum in life. So when you leave that space for your child, someone is filling it up. And just like the last person, all of the names he was mentioning were, in my opinion, all rappers. And that's just one aspect of his life, right? So you don't know how this person manages relationships, how this person manages family, and then you just say, oh, this person is my role model holistically. I think there's a friction there.
All right. Forever, any role models in the past or currently?
Currently, I have a number of them, but I'm going to talk about the past because basically where I am today is as a result of the people I submitted myself to. So there was my mom's pastor. I was not a member of the church. At a very young age, I was going to a different church, and all of them were going to Anglican. I said, I don't like the way the service is. So I went to Assemblies of God. But her pastor was very close to us. And so I kind of looked at him. The man didn't have children. So I was looking at him as a father because I can't give what I don't have. So I needed to look for somebody who was married, who can be a father to me. So those are some of the people. And basically, I'm a student of the Bible. So when I took my eye on the first day, she was like, now that your parents are separated, where do you learn? So how are you going to love me? I say, it's in the Bible.
Fantastic.
Everything about love, everything about it, this is where I'm getting from. This is me. And so those are my influences, and that is how I believe, because life can be summarized.
I have to ask you real quick now. So how do you pick, if I had to ask you, Dr. Salami, how do you pick a role model? Or if you had to tell a younger person, how do you pick a role model?
Okay, I was looking forward to talking about my role models.
You can,
but very quickly, my dad, despite I lost him 21 years ago, still remains my role model. I have two other people. One of them is dead as well. He died 3 weeks ago. Was my pastor. Reverend Kole Ogunyemi. Sadly, I couldn't attend the burial that just happened. But the last person is still alive, Dr. Christopher Kolade. And Dad, in case you are watching this, I love you, I miss you, and thank you very much for providing leadership and fatherhood to me, even when I lost my dad. So, two, how do you pick? Is you want to look at the character of the individual, right? Not just about the results. Results are great, results can be attractive, but you want to be sure that the result this person is recording, the person achieved it through tested means, right? So that we're not duplicating lack of integrity and duplicating the kind of thing that we don't want. So results are great, but the process, very important.
Fantastic character. Now, the theme for this year's International Men's Day is helping men and boys. Now, what advice, before we wrap it up, would you wish you had gotten early as a young boy that you think would have definitely transformed your life? Anyone? Let's start with you again.
Okay, so I thought I would be the last, but I'll take it. That's all right. So is to know that the future will be absolutely great and absolutely fantastic. And yes, be responsible, take care of people, but take care of yourself as well, right? On one hand, care for people, be responsible to people, but on the other hand, equally, in equal measure, do it as 50-50, because at the end of the day, everybody will be all right.
You, any advice?
Honestly, I don't know. I personally believe that God puts us in life in a way that even if you don't have everything sorted, everything that happens to you forms you up to become eventually the person God meant you to be. So I don't think there is any advice I would have gotten that I've not gotten.
Yeah, for me, I think it's the fact that you can be anything, right? Because my dad sort of like taught us to be safe, play safe, calculate, plan, just do what is easy, don't basically play safe. I'm trying not to give specific examples.
Do what the outcome is sure. You are sure.
Exactly. Don't take risks.
Don't take risk
at all. Yeah. I think
don't be adventurous.
Take risks.
It's an African thing.
We certainly heard it all here. And these are conversations that we can keep having on and on. Right before I, of course, say our bye-byes, I want to point out a few messages that we got real quick. But it's been an absolute delight, of course, having you guys join us. Thank you so much for the wisdom, for the experiences. And we do hope that you keep this conversation going. Again, appreciate a man around you. Tell them how much you appreciate them, you love them for their support. And remember, we can cry, all right? We're allowed to do that. Everything will do all right, I can assure you that. My name is Sammdandy. Till next time, this is New Central Television.